Thank you very much. Just posing for the open mic screenshot. And welcome to Stone Soup Poetry. It is 2025. God help us all. But we are not, all is not lost. Stone Soup still keeps on going. And we have our first feature for 2025. Jennifer Martelli is someone I've been wanting to get on the on at Stone Soup for a long time. I've enjoyed, as I said in texts on in posts on Facebook, that I've enjoyed her work, ever since I started first hearing it regularly at the Boston Poetry Marathon. The Boston Poetry Marathon is coming back, but we don't have to wait that long to hear Jennifer read from her brand new book. And we're excited about that. And I'm excited about everyone who's participating in the open mic. I'm getting your names now and throwing them into the Ramnator as quick as I can. But now we're going to get started. And again, no one ever knows who's going to be first, but it's always going to be someone. Someone's always going to fill the number one slot. It's not like Stone Soup in the old days where someone would put themselves down on the number four spot, then everyone else would put their names below that and make the number four one. No, there is a number one, and Bill knows what I'm talking about. Unless it was Lee Lateef, in which case he was always number one because he was crazy. But we miss you, Lee. Sometimes. Let's go for the person the Ramnator 5000 has selected. And it's one of our brand new regulars, Nike Truth.
Good
And now
evening,
oh, there you
everyone.
are. Excellent.
This is a short poem that I made for my friend's zine, however you say that. And it has no title. Tired as crunchy grass, wondering when the stress will pass, pondering will the bills pass. I know the stress of bills won't last, so I'll water my crunchy grass, wondering when I'll see green. Thinking about what it could all mean. I water this. I'm wondering where my money's at. I got hope that things will change, even if my prayers seem hush. It'll all be green one of these days, so I'm in no rush. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Nike. And now, up earlier than I would have predicted. The Ramnator has chosen for the number two spot, Ron Bremer. Or
Hi, everybody.
Bremner, I should say. Sometimes I say it too quick,
That's
but
close
go on.
enough. Hi, it's good to be here. Good to hear Jennifer and everybody else. Um, I have a content warning. This is Dada, so I know a lot of people are disgusted by Dada, despise it, but what can I do? In this time of year, dogs put on costumes and charge admission to Halloween in the forest. Elm trees held a festival for owners of nails. Families sought shelter from refreshments, but their kids donated the ocean to a friendly cat. Meanwhile, a swag bag tricked a volunteer into giving a treat to the rain and going on a date with nobody's business. So the volunteer took a photograph of useful information. Thank you and have a pleasant night.
Da, 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 da.
I think that's more surreal than Dada, Ron. Hey, you're muted, Chad.
What can I say? Da 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 da. Okay, we are moving on. But before we do, I want to recommend. Oops, it is. I put it down specifically to one person. I meant to put it to the group. There's a poetry journal called Dada Cuckoo. I believe it's going on its third year now. Its editor is only known as Petro CK, which it took me a year to realize that was. If you look at it quickly, it spells out Pet Rock. They put out one anthology back in year 2023. The second year anthology for 2024 should be coming out soon, and they started accepting submissions again. It's a very nonsensical verse. And it's a very short verse. If you write more than 6 lines, you've gone too long in the philosophy of the editor. But definitely check it out. A couple people from here have been published in there as well. Rich, I believe, was one of the last people published in 2024 in December. And now, without further ado, I want to bring us to Rita Rusty Rose.
Okay, this is experimental recipe type poems, a nod to the artist Francis Bacon. Recipe Francis Bacon. In skillet, sizzle thick, homoerotic dark slabs, mix with an oily impasto of banana yellow, glowing orange, and pomegranate red. Fry on medium heat, careful not to splatter against walls and doors as it browns. Let out a visceral, tormented yell. Bacon! Bacon! Slice a rack of beef, add potatoes, popes, twisted limbs, eggs, and gnawing lovers. Spoon in drops of blood, salt, turn until crisp. Let out a visceral, tormented yell. Bacon! Bacon! Garnish with cheddar and chives, blueberries on the side. Dangle a Marlboro from screaming mouth. Pour a glass of whiskey on an overcast day. Sit in an empty room, perhaps a cage. Do not forget your umbrella.
A poem I can get behind. Thank you so much. We actually have, we used to have in Boston, people who in New England know, we used to have a historic radio station called WBCN. I had a friend who was in the, who was going for screenwriting, but he also did comedy, sketch comedy, and toyed with the idea of doing voiceover. And I actually said, you should try and do segments for WBCN. And the one he came up with, and I wished he had gone to them with, is BCN. What's that spell? Bacon. Wait. But I'm surprised in the decades history they never went with that one. Up next, I'd like to bring it up to check out his work at Oddball Magazine this past Monday, and I'm hoping this Monday he can illustrate something special for me. I'm bringing you now to Mr. Richard Spizak.
Thank you so much, my friends. Since we have entered the land of Oz, I offer you this little fantasy piece called The Capital of Fa. Deep in the forests of La near the ancient river Dadi, where the treasure of Da is known to dwell in the sacred mountain monks, ring their primeval bells. I led my horse down the dangerous course, where rocks precarious fell with deadly force, where the crumbling trail was never measured by those out hunting the sacred treasure, when the unlucky go and fall too often to the valley below, so trembled every pilgrim who chose that awful course to go, never minding when the trail crumbled, hardly catching his breath when his courser stumbled, the sight of the spinning valley far below, and scared some right to death, don't you know. The castle was barely visible through the clouds that o'erflowed, through the sharp peaks and crags of ice with their only peculiar beauty, if the slippery course was trimmed in frosting so nice. The winds ferocious would tug and chase the valiant pilgrims on the rock's steepy face. Once the brave horse blanched at a nearby rumbling of another deadly avalanche, and as he approached the valley below, a volley of arrows did restore his attention to the final worn rocky ledge. The dangerous tribal people had sworn their pledge to protect the fortifications of the capital city of Fa. Ever guarding the approaching ledges, they'd sworn to their mothers on the sacred river Ka that guard with their very lives the final approach to Fa from any wayfarer, no matter who they are. The Grand Vizier of the capital Castle Fa had cast his spell on the vineyards of Kani. Even though he should know their warehouse was empty, yet he knew any goblet from the great capital Fa would be magically filled with a sprinkled vintage unmarred. And the young knight errant approached the castle gate, where the imperial sacred band was well armed and lay in wait. Surrounding the castle Fa was the equestrian force, known like Caesar's equestrae, so well appointed and dangerous on horse. Those gathering the eastern gate of the sun were forced and always known to be number one. These, like Alexander's, were known as companions, and it was known that they were as brave as granite stanchions. But in the West, so lauded and praised were those who would risk it all, right down to their graves, known like the gorgeous ancient warriors, the sacred band, was this troop of soldiers. Although their ancient visage lineage had among them no slacking molders, but our hero had a better weapon. It wouldn't blind, it wouldn't deafen. But yet better than these he might bellow and prate. Instead, he leapt from his saddle just outside the gate. He raised up one hand and bade the soldiers all wait. They leaned in to hear what he said. He broke out his best joke, and they laughed off their heads. Right into the palace he strode bold as brass. He had them all laughing so hard they fell on their ass. And in the throne room our hero arrived, where he explained boogie woogie and all that hep jive. And right there on the spot they made that lad king, and they kissed his behind and gave him some sort of ring. He waved them away with a generous gesture like the flagon of the dragon. That was not quite his kind of pestle.
Yay! Boogie woogie.
And so it goes. Thank you so much, Richard. I'll be announcing another daily publication that's emerging and kind of re-emerging in the wake of Trump's second term. I'll get to that much later. But for now, I'd like to move it over to a lot of the people you're going to hear tonight are contributors to the last two issues of Stone's Throw, which is a zine I put out. Richard was one, and the next person coming up is one as well. And you can be a contributor to the Democracy Benefit issue, which I'm putting out in the wake of Trump's second term. You can download. I'll send a link on the. I'll put a link on in the chat from my website where you can download all 8 issues of Stone's Throw. The last issue was Unalive the Algorithm, and one of my favorite contributions comes from the next person coming up. Let's welcome up Ari Whipple. Oh, don't look so surprised.
Okay. It's always a surprise when it's my turn. Okay. This is from my last collection, Beachfront Property. You can get it for free on Ko-Fi. And I'll share the link if you'd like to read that. But this poem is called Moonglow. I am blossoming with the music that's created between you and me when we play the song of knowing, universes blooming in shades of goldenrod and green, and all on the way, filling the sky and beautiful, spend the night waiting for you, sleeping and dream of you. You'll get there soon, I can almost sense it, beyond the grip of dark, and then I, too, become one with the phases of the moon. Thank you.
Thank you, Ari. And now I'd like to bring us up to Mary Jennings.
Good evening. And here's Frida.
Nice.
Thank you. Okay. I have a new love child ballad. I don't know if it will be the last one. And this one is called The Ballad of Entitlements. Be sure of your purity. It's time and money well spent. Impress with your litany of revised sanctions meant to rake in all the dough for us. We love the vacuous. They fill our pockets daily. They've had it rough because you didn't seek their approval on how to live, where to live, and if you should live. You have proven your entire lives. You've earned your keep and the right to stray and stay away from the home fires burning, toxic fumes in the air, never minding it's the will of the one above. You suck it in for the sake of family, that house of horrors. Your hard work matters not as much as your loyalty to the one above. We have entitlements to all you worked hard for, to your unquestioning loyalty and respect, to your bodies, to your minds, to your bookshelves, to your medical records, to your menstrual cycles, to your children and grandchildren's bright futures, to your souls, if you've got one. No more free form for you. fall into line. Time to relearn the golden rule. The ones with the gold rules. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Love the puppet, love the poem. I put in the links Charles Bukowski bobblehead for anyone who's interested, although personally I would check sources to see if this is authentic because he kind of looks like a early 70s, 60s, 70s sort of George Carlin. So someone could be manipulating us. Buyer beware is all I got to say. Up next, let's welcome for something completely different. All the way from Idaho, let's welcome Bill Lewis.
I am not completely different. I am completely the same. You're the people who are different. I am normal. All of you, you're not like me. That's the whole point. I don't think you understand how important I am. Oh, had to stop out for a moment to put the chickens in. Still have 8 chickens. Woohoo! And as you can see behind me, I'm beginning to have a kitchen. Can you believe that I am going to have a kitchen? Oh, I cannot write poetry on a computer. It isn't pleasing, it isn't pretty, it isn't personal. I love the flow of ink on paper. I love the feel of my pen in my fingers. I love my letters. Well, some of them. My letters have their good days and their bad. But every now and then it all works just as God intended it, and my letters kiss and dance upon the page. They float, they fly, they make love in the words they form. I must admit to the enormous convenience of keyboards and pixels and the delete key, but they shall never make me happy on my beloved pen. Ah, and I cannot believe the news, but there it is. It is 6 days until the inauguration, and Hamas is signing a peace deal. A ceasefire is actually happening. It's like, oh my God. And there's so much pressure on Russia, and it might actually all happen. This could be like, I'm just so happy that we're getting somewhere here. And, I look at our dearest Biden and Biden's legacy. There's money to bring people to the border, but none to make housing for them. There's money to fly 1 million to the US and money to fly them home, but no money for them once they get home. From a mud hut to a 4-star hotel and back to the mud hut. What an adventure! I do hope that Joe and his woke friends send postcards.
Thank you, Bill. Up next, ask him about his new book. He's featured at Stone Soup last year. Let's bring up Mr. Gentleman Galt himself, Edward S. Galt, aka Magister Galt.
Thank you very much. I'm going to be reading from my new book, Airhead and Other Poems, in honor of the inauguration of the president coming up this Monday. This is called The Hangman's Smile. Shortest one I could find on the subject. Anyway, The Hangman's Smile. In the courtroom, the old man sat in a wheelchair, breathing through a nasal tube, was listening to the judge read a 21-page warrant charging him as being an accomplice in the murder of 29,000 people 66 years earlier. There are those who believe the man is too old to stand trial for atrocities committed so long ago. Why wasn't he brought to justice earlier? They ask. The prosecutor said, the rule of law must prevail, that the number of years gone by must not determine whether justice is done. The blood of those thousands cries out for justice. We must demonstrate to those who commit such crimes they will not walk away. But even from across the room, one can discern, albeit barely, a smile comes across the old man's face. He knows that he has gotten away with it. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Magister, Mr. Gentleman Galt. We have a few more people left. If there's anyone who is deciding at the last minute that they want to participate in the open mic and they haven't been here before, definitely let me know in the comments or raise your hand with the little emoji thingy. Oh, Karen Klein, yep, absolutely, I got you down. First, we're going to hear from Miss Jan Rowe, Black Seed Writers Group member, longtime Stone Soup poet. Take it away.
Thank you. From this week's Black Seed Weekly, it's every Tuesday morning, Sprout Hall, 138 Tremont Park Street. This is called Prison Term Over? Stay Anyway. Some USA prisons are holding prisoners past the prisoner's discharge date. I thought only other countries did this. Israel, for example. The Zionists hold about 12,000 Palestinians, many without charges, so they don't even have a discharge date. Oh, I just heard about the Guantanamo and the 23 years. Oh, okay. I'm wondering if this, holding prisoners past discharge dates in the USA, is for picking the harvest that migrants formerly picked, and my spouse, husband with them, picked when the bosses had to pay them decades ago. Now the bosses often harass and threaten the migrant crop pickers, sometimes refusing to pay them. So the USA is not the good guy? Thank you. That's a good one, isn't it?
Thank you, Jan. Thank you much. And now, let us hear from brand new published author. He seems to be newly published every week, but he has a book out from Alien Buddha Press. Let's hear it from Mr. John Wezick.
Thank you, Chad. I wrote this story about three guys waiting for the death squad as a warning, and America did not listen to me. I'll read the opening and post the link in the chat if you want to read the rest of it. It's called Parking Lot on the Edge of Freedom. To ease traffic in the capital, government employees will work staggered shifts starting immediately, President Santos said over the radio. Employees of the Ministry of Justice Departments L, Q, and S and Ministry of the Interior Departments M through V return to your homes and await further instructions. Augustine Flores locked his file cabinet, left the office, and crossed the street to the parking garage. His footsteps echoed as he trudged up the unpainted concrete stairwell while resting a hand on the steel handrail. The prospect of watching TV in his air-conditioned living room with the curtains closed dampened his worry about the future. He loosened his tie. "Hey, Augustine, so you're part of the great exodus too?" Diego Reese slapped Flores on the back. The son of a rich family, Reese's brown hair hung in his eyes and his lips curved in a perpetual smirk as if he were playing a prank on the universe. Nice to see you, Augustine said. Guess I'll be on my way. What's your hurry? The traffic will be terrible. You might as well take our time. Have a bottle of rum in the trunk and a good view of all the stupidity below. Why don't you join me? They climbed to the top floor. What are you going to do with your time off? Diego retrieved the bottle from his white Coupe de Ville and passed it to Augustine. Sleep late, do my laundry. Augustine uncapped the bottle and took a swig. If our furlough lasts, you should see the world. Take a trip to Rio, ski in Bariloche, or see Gaozu Falls. I went to the ocean once, Augustine said. Didn't have much money, so I took a 5-hour bus ride and stayed in a cheap hotel. Every morning, I went swimming. And that starts the flashback. And if you want to read the rest, the link is in the chat. Thank you very much. Oh, and by the way, there's a march on January 18th this Saturday. Be there.
Thank you, Mr. Weswick. And thanks for the link to that piece. I can't wait to read it later. Up next, let's welcome up Karen Klein.
I guess I'm live now. Okay, thank you very much. I'm just going to read a sort of strange poem. I used to be a haiku poet, and now I'm doing mostly contemporary lyric, but every so often I fall back into old haiku forms. So I'm using this time to read an old form that's very difficult, which is a combination of prose and 3 lines at the end. I'll indicate by putting up 1, 2, 3 of a haiku that summarizes everything in the prose. So before I start that, let me just say my second book, Embodied, is coming out from Finishing Line Press, and it will be available for pre-order around May. So I'm telling people early on, it is a book of my body from ages 7 to 87. Okay, here's a haibun, prose first, then poetry, and it's called Remembering Larry. I don't know anyone named Larry, but I'm obsessed with him. Who is he? What is he to me? No answers arrive, but from whom or where could they come? Common sense demands that I solve the puzzle, but thoughts go where they go and come uncalled. Puzzle pieces, blank or squiggles that taunt and tempt me. No photos of shared scenes, no letter reminding me of past intimate attachments, not even a memory of a lover's touch. I put my hand over my ear and let my index finger slide behind and over its curved outer shell, adding my thumb to slowly, lingeringly caress its lobe and wonder, did he do that? Ears curve, bending nape, ghost fingerprints. Ears curve, bending nape, ghost fingerprints. Thank you.
Wow. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Up next, I'd like to welcome up Mr. Rich Boucher.
Thank you. Appreciate that, Chad. Hi, everybody. Hello from New Mexico. This poem was published some time ago in a publication or an anthology, I should say, called Ain't No Dead Beats Around Here. And this is called Sous Chef's Kiss. This poem investigates the hierarchical meaning of my cultural cereal as I lean into difficult structures to question the validity of 2% low fat milk. In this poem, I digress from typical definitions of hamburger and explore the more penetrative nuances of hot dogs. With this poem, the counterculture's obsession with my pajamas becomes revealed, and intuitive remarks arising out of the dynamic interstices between me and your bed become altruistically, powerfully transgressive among the IKEA. This poem takes as its linguistic impulse the roots of my garbage, and the lyrics of this work interrogate my neighbor as a nominal curative, with a carefully pejorative aim set builded towards a hegemonistic thong, providing a cursory evaluation and an intuitive, problematic analysis of the stigma and shame that surrounds asparagus. This poem tasks the common experience with a banana with shamelessly regarding those who experience such fruit in ways that populate an open mouth with the promise of elevated aliveness. This poem bravelessly pulls the curtain over the emancipation of a typical serving of mac and cheese, thus overcoming, indeed, in its own right, an intransigent society's predilection for corn on the cob. Leisure, yoga pants pulled tight and translucent over the values enlightened communities look to for moral and savage sustenance. And so, therefore, a significant portion of this poem has dilated cervical understandings of lingerie to extreme soaked hybrids of hubris and potential within the dialectical confines of your mama, thereby proving provincially that vast swaths of heuristic adult video stores cannot and will not accommodate a climate of intimidation when the general populace has no taste for it, them, us, a lollipop, or indeed the viewer. And it is here, at the intersection of divinity and peekaboo a la Montevideo, I see the mountain, wherein we find ourselves at long last horny, abject, fighting for non existent rights within that sesame toasted lumberjack nail salon, nay, further, on behalf of that high priced escort that dwells in all of us, even though fear is what makes us Walmart, makes us spring a bone, fling a bushwash, makes us mayonnaise the ham speculum more deeply than anything we know in this world. But those of us who are courageous enough to challenge the foregone climacticisms inherent in both the box of Jimmy Dean's frozen sausage and in the conglomerate tricycles of institutional, sugarless disforeplay will doubtlessly survive the difference with a brilliant gleam in the newfound groin of equitable, just barbecues, and a renewed hope for next Thursday. A kind of sous chef's kiss, if you will. Thanks.
Nice touch.
Are there any questions?
I'm still getting over the idea of hot dogs having nuance, just like, but thank you so much for that.
All my life.
And up next, she's got a new book coming out next year. Congratulate her for that. And let's welcome up Marianne Honecker.
This is called Our Country is Dying. It is another golden shovel. It's using Joy Harjo's This Morning I Pray for My Enemies from Conflict Resolution for Holy Beings. The ceaseless ants do not sense a threat and continue to build their mounds of sand. Whom should they fear? Birds appropriate seeds, do their tiered mating calls from tree to shrub. I watch the leaves nod. Time is only time. Call to the steep cliff, it will answer. In my house I have blankets, tea, no enemy. Sky portions out its portions of rain. An unseasonable drought, the sky, an enemy. Who stuffs her reason under her fear? Must we? The light drops a gear, soon will be closed up in night's cloak. We are all worthy, clocked in on the planet's time clock of years. Is there to be an engagement? I will engage my skin to light. I won't pluck the rose because it's your turn to bend to it. Our years are clipped, so in them bask, in them scream, in them nap, and the rivers will flow from any direction. My mind has an ocean in it. It's of night, stars on water. There I drown. The night and day change places, hover. Sun leaves us, but it still shines elsewhere, and night, that huge bear, paces the globe. We keep still as night passes over, keeps walking. We have loneliness in common. It's a curious bell jar. In common we hold the change of autumn light, winter's scrim on heart. In common the earth breaking in spring, that cracking that breaks us open to ask how much hurt is worth it to live. In the summer we buzz like trapped bees and question less. The moon is there and then it's not. I look for shine and find a scratch in my sky instead. Full moons make us furious. Do we listen to the heart or mind? A question we share. Salt air, how the scent of it humbles. Immensity, heart, pulses in the night, and the sea at night is overwhelmed. Galaxies above and the deeps below. They say it makes us smaller, but I say we expand. We are cousin or closer to the furthest blue star of the heavens we can't with the naked eye, the largest telescope, see. We are the sun. We are the earth. When it turns, we with it turn. We are the hawk's fine-tuned eye which sees the chipmunk, and we are the chipmunk, and no one steps to the edge of what she knows. Everything is me. I am everything. That goes for you too, and for the fly, it goes. All is one. Imagine what God hears. God hears how my cat hears the small song the snowfall sings. God hears my tuneless gnashing teeth in sleep, my teeth's vibrations even. God hears the tree's heartwood tremble as the storm rumbles. What is it? We're all it. Our country is dying, the nation hears. The universe expands. The sun burns. The fuel is limited. To be is a blessing in this iteration. Others follow. The cycles are endless. Cold or fire, a door. Someone breathes a long exhale. We go to the end of it. Then the long inhale. The exhale has a bit to go in my mind. Of course, there are things that we all should. Of course, there's a right, and it's the only. But let the sea doors and air doors open, the doors of fire and night. We can walk from the world and still be of the world, of the endless fixing. Injustice hurts the heart, so we must. But meanwhile, hunger. An exquisite meal made by your enemy, brought to your table by your foe, who you tip 25%. When he gets into his car, a murmuration in tune to the bass line, starlings taking risk and just killing it. Dusk rises from the pavement like a mist. He's in no danger. Neither are you. The arugula of your salad poised on your fork, becoming a part of you bite by bite. It's in a country, this happens, my friend. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Getting closer to getting to the end. If there's anyone who wants to read, let me know. I know that Robert Fleming wants to read, so he's going to be next. And then if no one else wants to follow Robert, we will end off with James Van Looy and then have our feature. Up next, and let me get the share button for share for him. The share screen option. There's Robert Fleming, visual poet from Delaware.
Thank you, Chad. Good evening. I'm Robert Fleming, as Chad said, a visual poet from Lewis, Delaware. And I just start with two announcements. John Wessick, who's in the room tonight. It is our fourth writing collaboration. We were just published on Monday in Medusa's Kitchen, and I'm happy to announce that one of my publishers, Diane Pierce, nominated me for Best of Short Fiction. And as a tribute to the people in the United States and California who are suffering wildfires, I will share digital art that I created about fire tonight. So I put the first slide on the screen. The left side is the original image, and the right side is an edit of that photograph, which only did a very slight change. In the center, it added a little bit of orange. And this is a stronger edit where I applied a filter called retro, where the red was changed to orange. And this is another filter called Trippy Trace, which makes an image look like it's psychedelic and rainbow. The next series of images are about building a work, and these are some of the original images that I took parts of from. So from the last image, I just took the stars on the left, the blue and the red on the right. So here they are. And then I put them into separate files. And then I took another image of firework, and I took those flowers of light and I put them on top of the image of firework. And I also changed some of the colors of the firework. You can see on the left, I have white, and then I have a minty green. And then you can see on the left side, the original image, and on the right side, the edited digital image. The last one is the creation of a visual image called Firework Thing. This image here became the head of the image, and then the left side is the original image, and on the right side, I extracted two parts of that image to create the arms and the leg of that image. And here is Firework Thing with the head and the arms and the legs. I think I just have two more. This is another work that I created. It's called Charcoal RuPaul. It was prompted by a theme of portals, and I thought of a volcano fire pit could be a portal. And my last one is a satire piece. It's called The First Paternity Test. I was inspired by, I think, the most well-known United States paternity judge is Lauren Lake, and that she should preside over who is the real father of Jesus. So thank you for letting me share my tribute to fire, and for all of our neighbors who live in California who are struggling with the wildfires there. Thank you.
All right, Robert, that was a crack up. Now I need to see a mashup of Maury Povich going to Peter. You are not the father. Oh, yes. But I knew it. Sorry, too blasphemous. Let's now go to... Oh, fuck. Anyway, let's go to our closer for tonight. Check out his column at oddballmagazine.com. Check out Oddball Magazine. We are always looking for new written work, especially in reaction to what's going on in the world. I love getting our first responders. We do have our team of roving poets, but really we want, no matter how frequently or infrequently you can do it, we would love, some sort of commentary, be it visual or written, on the world as we know it, which is slowly going to become the world as we don't know it in just a short amount of time. I'll be posting a link to another place you can submit to. But for now, check out his column every every Thursday morning, Thursday at 11 o'clock. It's all one thing. His name is James Van Looy.
Thanks, Chad. So I have a poem here called Labyrinth Trip. So this is one of my labyrinth poems. So, Pentago went gone, I say, when my comrade comes on Saturday to ask the name of my new creation, basking refreshed rainbow reflection of a fulfilled Pentagon request of another passerby quick bequest, not even thinking of military complex, but only asking from geometric reflex that left me wondering on Pentagon. And what if that edifice built in my lifetime became half a hexagon, a triangle, in fact, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, flashing out peace to whole wide world, flag of planet world flies unfurled. And here's a quick song here. To say, rise and to say, so far endless fur over the horizon to say, and you've a brand mystery to say, dragon of leaf and mild, strellant and breed, all seek the golden seed of sea, dan seek mine steel in it water, ik weet, soms is the say so rude, duster and read, maar ik weet ook who's he tracked and captain you eats air for frock the say dragon of leaf and build strellant of build always the golden sea the sea dan see it mine zeal in het water to say, rising to say so far, eindelijk ver, weerspiegelt de hemel en de zee. Ik kijk naar de zee, naar het leven. Thank you.
Hey, James.
That was
Woo, woo, woo.
the tune from a famous song by Neil.
That was Bobby Darin.
Bobby Darin, right. Thank you, dear.
I don't know which I liked better, James's singing or Bob's dancing.
Well, they go together. You can't have one without the other. And James would be dancing too, if he weren't trapped in that little tiny box.
Too true, too true. Good to have you back, Bob.
Hey, it's good to be back. Hey, James's voice, it's so resonant. It just vibrates my whole body, And I imagine that he's like an old New England preacher, and I'm in church. And he takes me on this journey, but I don't know. His singing energizes my body, so I just have to move because it increases the pleasure of my experience.
Thank you, Bob. And thank you, James.
Yeah, thank you, James.
I put in two calls for submissions. Well, one's kind of a pre-call. Well, two links to the websites. One is to the New Verse News, which is taking timely work, 7 days a week. They've been doing that for a while. They have a Substack page, so the poems get out to the people however they can. The second one, I just found out literally about an hour ago. Indolent Books used to have a series from Trump's inauguration the first time to when he left office, a series called What Rough Beast, where he would publish a poem a day from contributors. I got to contribute a lot to that. So did Marianne Honecker and David Miller, a Stone Soup favorite, if you remember him. Now they're Indolent Books and Michael Broder, the publisher, is announcing another poem a day project starting with the inauguration, again called appropriately The Second Coming. And he should be sending out a call for submissions, but he did publish a poem today that was too good to wait. It's from Mr. Ed Madden, and it's a poem based on the occasion, in his words, the occasion of the Hegseth Senate confirmation hearings. Is Hegseth an angry drunk? Yeah, you decide. I'm just, dude, your name is Hegseth. It looks like you spelled that drunk and you just decided to keep it. You're sticking to your story. Anyway. Enough of off-the-cuff bad humor. We have a reading tonight, but I hope to see you guys active, all the poets active. Keep coming here week after week. I'll be announcing the second feature very shortly. Next week will be an all-open mic again, so if anyone didn't get a chance to participate and want to do it next week, please do so. Please come back often. For those of you who are here for the first time, we do this every Wednesday via Zoom from 7 to 9. And we're looking to do some live shows, hopefully for 2025, to come back a little bit. Especially since I'm approaching my 20th anniversary hosting this shindig. It's been a journey. I've been on a lot of journeys, and people, this is one of them. Anyway, let us go now to tonight's important feature. Tonight we're featuring Jennifer Martelli. Her boilerplate bio reads as such. Jennifer Martelli has received fellowships from the Virginia Center for the Creative Arts, the Monson Arts, and the Massachusetts Cultural Council. Her work has appeared in the Academy of American Poets Poem a Day, Poetry, Best of the Net Anthology, Braving the Body Anthology, Verse Daily, Plume, the Tahoma Literary Review, and elsewhere. She is the author of the newly released Psychic Party Under the Bottle Tree, The Queen of Queens, which won the Italian American Studies Association Book Award, and was shortlisted for the Massachusetts Book Award. And also My Tarantella, which was also shortlisted for the Massachusetts Book Award and was named finalist for the Housatonic Book Award. She's also the co-poetry editor of Mom Egg Review. She has a lot of accomplishments to her name, a lot of readings. I am so glad that Stone Soup is her next stop as she continues to do good work, promote good work, and support poetry and, of course, write and read it and perform it. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Let's say 35 to 45 times minimum, virtually or otherwise, for Jennifer Martelli.
Hey.
Oh, Chad, thank you so much. You are really this is an institution, and I'm really happy to be reading here. And you do so much for the poetry community in, Boston and beyond. So I thank you for that, and I thank you for having me tonight. It's great to hear everybody at the open mic and to see friends here and pressmates from Lily Poetry. So that makes me happy. I'm going to be reading mainly from my newest full length, and I'm going to end with a few poems from my chapbook, Dear Justice, which was written in response to the overturning of Roe v. Wade. I'll talk more about that. But the book that just came out, Psychic Party, probably is the least, I hate using the word political poetry, but it's probably the least political book I'll ever write. So there's a lot of snakes in it. which is really funny because I hate snakes. They scare me. I can't even look at the word half the time. There's a lot of horoscope in there, which I don't really believe in, but I love the little horoscopes from the Boston Globe. I didn't subscribe to that for a long time until Maura Healey was elected governor. Then I started getting it again, and I forgot how much I missed those little stories. And then they give you instructions, tonight, don't talk, something like that. And there's a lot of sobriety in this book also. So I'll start with, and a lot of movies. I love watching movies. So anyway, Cyrus. The globe's horoscope tells me to avoid abstract concepts, to avoid half-truths, to change my hair, to examine asexuality. The moon will rise at 4:09 p.m. today. A crown of autumnal planets will have risen by then too. I watched the end of Elizabeth when Kate Blanchett has her ladies in waiting share her hair to the scalp, all bald, paint her with lead. Cat, she says to the weeping girl, I am a virgin again. It took time to do this, the scissors dull, the toxic lead and vinegar to make Cyrus crushed with a pestle in a stone cup. The globe's horoscope warns me, hunker down. I have all this time to watch my plants dry up, the vines with the old nightshades and pots out back, the mums and cosmos, even my one succulent. I had the idea of growing things. My lucky rubber plant skeleton is showing its leaves, bone light, green, and lunar. Someone out there is angry with me. My horoscope says tonight the moon isn't good. Don't reciprocate. Don't reply to correspondence. So this next poem mentions John Travolta, and I'm proud to say he's mentioned a couple of times in this book. I'm very happy about that. The structure of milk. I live in fear of milk gone bad. Pour jugs of it down the drain days before the little inky date condemns it to sour. The gallon in my refrigerator dies on my birthday, which I share with Yoko Ono, John Travolta, Toni Morrison. My husband says bad milk turns to cheese, which I love, and him too, still, even now. All the diets my mother followed had her drink milk so skim it was blue, a light deified breast milk blue. I was born on the last day of Aquarius. I once wore a gold charm around my neck that fell to my breastbone, a woman holding a jug high over her head, pouring out fake diamonds that shone. Her tiny metal arms could just bear the weight of those glass chips filled to the lip. When we cleaned out my parents' home after we found packets of powdered milk unopened in a cabinet behind the quick oatmeal, pins of tea, a jar of instant coffee, food to take to the moon. Stale food, yes, but not turned, not bad. Remnants of a depression girlhood. Today, nearing the end of Aquarius, I'm warned not to delay, not to skip a step or a rehearsal. Try to draw a diagram, my horoscope says. Don't wait until the last minute. So this next poem begins with a quote by an artist named Eva Yuskowicz. She's Polish, and she painted these amazing oils of women and these beautiful gowns, but their faces were covered with scarves or feathers or fruit. You just didn't. It's this big head of scarves. Just you didn't see any face. And the title is There Anything Under That Layer? I fear suffocation and I fear snakes. And once in a movie, I saw a man with a python wrapped around his whole head. He couldn't even scream. That actor, a pale, flaccid man, wry and always amused, died not too long ago. One summer, the previews and teasers ran in a loop for The Mummy Redux. A young princess betrayed by her father was mummified alive, wrapped in cloth and locked in an iron tomb carved with the face of a screaming woman and a snake. A snake can crawl brand new out of its own long skin. But the father betrayed his daughter because he adhered to his own mythology, like most fathers. I think I fear suffocation because of the weight covering me, stars asphyxiating themselves, colors imploding into jewel tone hues like the diamonds of an hungry snake. One friend insisted I fear snakes because I fear the penis. Another said I fear trains crossing bridges because they look like snakes if I could see them while flying way up where the air is too thin to breathe. I fear suffocation and snakes and bridges and the penis, but mostly I don't want to be disregarded. That's the fear. I'm wrapped in snakeskin and cloth and cold, thick iron. It's heavy, and I'm left. I'm just left. So the cover of my book is a painting or a close-up of a painting by an old master, Jean-Léon Jaromé. And years ago, a friend of mine on Facebook, every Friday she would post a different, image or painting. And I became obsessed with this. I mean, look at her. She's a bacchante, right? Here she is. That's the name of the painting. And yet she has the horns of a ram. And I love this. And she's so beautiful. In the full painting, she's got this silk dress on with all hair on the back. It's just amazing. You should look it up. So, So I wrote a bunch of really bad poems trying to respond to this painting, like really bad poems. And I got 2 out of them. But they took years apart to write, but they were from the same source. So this is the second poem. This is the second child. I'll read the first child later on. 1 year after my friend posted a photo of Jean-Léon Jaromé's The Bacchante, head of a woman with the horns of a ram, a woman crawls through a hole behind her medicine cabinet, finds an unused apartment, walls skim smooth, doors hung, shelves for cups, hooks to hang spider plants and linaria and macrame slings knotted with undyed cotton yarn. She could put a baby grand piano in this living room. She could have 2 living rooms. She posts this discovery to her TikTok and the video goes viral in a single day. This dream I've had my whole life. In the dream dictionary, the one with a creepy-eyed sun and crescent moons against a blue nighttime sky, it says, dreaming you found the hidden or secret rooms suggests new strengths, new roles. When I wake the next day, I'll sprout thick horns like a ram. They'll curl back into me.
Wow.
So, a lot of these poems were, you know how long it takes, between, getting writing the poem and then getting the book out. So a lot of these poems, and I hate using this term, I say it all the time, were written during Trump's first term. And I hate using first term. I hate that. This poem that I wrote right after the election in 2016. And it's called Night Snake. I try to bend my back to the sadness. The moon grows back fat. a yellow scythe. Perseus decapitates the head of the Gorgon. Snakes litter the cold sky, just as dangerous dead. My friend found one black snake head, one rat's tail, juniper buds, waxy and strewn in her yard. After a quiet night, anything I've ever feared regenerated, came around on the wheel. St. Catherine like moonshore rose from the wet hummus in my heart. Tonight, another old white man told me to bend my back like a bow to the sadness. The moon waxed fat again, a mezzaluna dull metal already for my weight. So the middle section of this book sort of examines, my atheism, which for some reason, I still have guilt about. I still get afraid of. I mean, I grew up so Catholic that to even say that, like, I think I'm going to be struck down. So, anyway, hasn't happened yet. So, sobriety. When I left today, after being cruel to my kids, I saw a black and yellow garter snake along the footpath behind the high school and the temple. Its back was broke, and when a snake breaks its back, its whole body is broke. The snake dragged itself from one bush to the other, the juniper not yet ginned up. I fear snakes, and I fear my children being lonely as I am lonely. Some men take up snakes knotted in a wooden latch box at a church's altar. A thirsty snake, diamond back, copper head, can't make venom, and so the bites around the men's wrists come to nothing more than a headache. The snake on the path looked like a slow train at night, its car, reading car, club and bar car, diner, lit up, busy. That's how it looked anyway from my distance above. So the week that we shut down for pandemic, early, like that Monday, I think we were shut down by Friday. That Monday, people were talking about this thing and it still wasn't really clear. I was asked to come into the ICA in Boston, a bunch of poets, and to record parts of this poem by Amanda Gorman. And I came in, like, I had 3, Lysol wipes, and I had them in a baggie. Nobody knew what was really going on. So the young woman who was doing the video had these great Doc Martens that I've not been able to find. I've been looking for these for 5 years, and I've not been able to find. They were black with all sorts of poisonous plants all over it. They're beautiful. Doc Martens 1460 Wild Botanica. What I want is that 8-eye boot with Goodyear welt lines on the sole. I want the backhand black leather and the overgrown wildflower print and all that pink and green flora and fauna. These boots dig in, webbed all over with datura, poppy, Japanese anemone, poison ivy, foxglove. And then the things that feed and crawl and fly, moth, scorpion, black widow, wasp. I'd switch out the factory laces with deep green, a corset going up each foot to the ankle. I want the crisscross to show. Sometimes I want to smoke again and feel that hot toxin sting the bony roof of my mouth. But I made a vow to never buy leather. I'd love not to harm any living thing, though I still eat fat shrimp all curled over as if in pain, the sunny yolk inside a warm brown egg. I'll buy eggs just to paint them. I'll smoke bees out of a hive to make honey and wax to burn down all night. I'll call the meat of a cow flesh just to ruin your meal. Here's the truth of these boots. I want you to think they're pretty. Get close to me. Believe me when I say I'm good. And the last poem from this book that I'll read is a great, I guess it's a journal. It's called Broadsided Press. The editor is Elizabeth Bradfield. And if you send them poems, if they accept them, they'll do a broadside of that poem. That's, how they do it. So back, I don't know, about 5 years ago, they put out these prompts to write during shutdown. And there's a lot of moving parts. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but it had to be about like an everyday item in your house. You had to talk about the root, the etymology of the word, and you had to have a quote from another book in there. So, and there's all like numbers and all these things, like you had to count and all that stuff, which I love in a weird way. I think that's why I like crossword puzzles. The chain. Tucked in the toe of an odd sock, my lost silver chain lies curled and knotted too tight to fit around my neck, even as a choker, some links broken like an old snake's cervical bones. Once I wore it strung with a silver charm, a horn that fell to my throat's hollow, kept away the curse of eyes and of envy. Today is the coldest day so far this year. I've hung straw crosses from back door posts for St. Bridget, patron saint of abortions and things thawing, deep dirt pockets of animals and roots, snakes and last year's roses, sleeping voles. I can unknot this chain with two sharp common pins, pick the tiny locked spine, loosen all the archaic root words of Shan, links of precious metals or of iron ore, to twist, to twine, to hunt, to snare. Jealousy can open the blood. It can make black roses. I can wound badly, and I have. Today, I enter my daughter's birth month and my own. You are metal, my chart says. You attract and you orbit. Beware toxic loops. The beautiful line in here about jealousy was from Sylvia Plath's poem, The Swan. And I'm going to end with a couple of poems from my chapbook, Dear Justice, which came out this spring. And it began as 6, they're all epistolary poems in this book. They're all letters. But it began as 6 epistolary sonnets to the 6 conservative justices on the Supreme Court who voted to overturn Roe v. Wade. So I'm going to be talking about abortion in these poems. So just to let you know. I tried to keep it, I wanted form for these. So I tried to have, a volta-ish and to have some rhyming at the end. Dear cusp of cancer, they've already sent a mother who midwifed her daughter's abortion to jail. I don't say this to my friends as we tour a colonial mansion. I'd ruin the day. I'm angry all the time now, then rue my anger throughout the night. The days are growing longer, though no warmer. Cusp, I read that cancer in women can manifest as loyalty or vengeance. I climbed to the widow's walk in a single line. This mansion's old wood could not sustain more than one of us at a time. I was afraid to stay longer than a glance at the harbor's pronged and calipered shape. The widow's portrait still hangs at the bottom of the stairs. She holds a bounty of fruit in her gold skirt, purple grapes, a ripe peach, green pears. These are her children, the docent says. The widow holds them where her uterus must be. She wears a mother of pearl choker too. Everything in this portrait is reflective. Cusp, June feels wrong, raw. I'm not sure how to enter and live in your cancerous house. Dear Brett Kavanaugh, consider the wonder of the male seahorse who carries 1,500 eggs for over a month at a time until he releases fully formed babies, and then he mates again. His genus is Hippocampus, sea monster, and he is shaped like the part of the brain that holds all memory. Remember blackouts? I liked beer too. I liked it a lot. But is anything worse than a drunk woman? I still use those big calendars too, blocks of days on pages held together with a tight coil. There's something satisfying and tactile about a pen Xing out days, arrows piercing through a whole week, exams, party, beach week. Long ago, before I got sober, I would mark an X for each day of my period, just in case there was a night when all I could remember was beer and laughter and lights. And again, thank you for having me. One more poem. Dear Amy Coney Barrett, have you ever wept when someone you don't know is kind to you? The nurse who held my hand during my second abortion said the quick loss of pregnancy hormones could have caused my weeping. The doctor had such smooth, dark skin and a pure white beard. It was as if a waxing or waning moon hovered between my legs. He was kind too and said, almost done, almost done. He sounded like the tide. I did your chart. The Friday you were born, the moon was humped, gibbous. Astronomers called it a moon giant. Astrologers say you have great willpower, dislike almost every change. You have the choice to show your love with action. When your moon is in Cancer, you have the choice to inflict great harm. Amy, we were both born on Aquarian cusps, sharp points of a moon's crescent hook. I'm being very intrusive now, but under your black robe, you should wear Aquarius blue. Around your neck, a plum gemstone. Thank you.
Thank you for putting together a nice feature.
Thank you, Rich. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah, great stuff, Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I'm glad I made it.
Oh, hi. Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. What is your next step after this book? What's the newer manuscript going to be?
Well, I've got, it's funny. I'm not in any rush, and I have, I'm just kind of taking my time with this. So I expanded this into a full length. And I really was thinking, when I had a couple of moments of hope, I just kind of, I don't know, I saw the writing on the wall back in January of 2021, what was going to happen. But I had a few moments of hope during the election, during the campaigns. And I thought, I'm like, gee, this book may be sort of obsolete in a way, we won't need it, and I was wrong. So, or I was right, however you want to look at it. So I'm kind of finishing that up, and I have this other project. I read this great article by the poet Dorothy Alasky, whose book, The Shining, is their poems generated from the movie, The Shining, the Kubrick movie, and the one that Stephen King hates, right? So, and I was so, it was amazing to me because I love horror and I find it calming, which is very odd, so I'm like, oh my God, somebody wrote a whole book of poems, based on a horror movie. like I wanted to marry her. I couldn't believe it. It was the best thing I've ever read. If you get a chance, read the book. It's very, very good. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. So this became my new obsession. And she wrote this great essay in LitHub where she was talking about, horror and meeting this moment. So I don't want to get controversial, but I love the 2018 remake Suspiria better than the original. Tilda Swinton is in it, so it's better. So
I love that one too. I love that one too.
Thank you, because people are like, are you crazy? Thank you. So I've been writing. I feel like I've got the poems there, but you know what it's like to try to organize a manuscript. It's torturous. So that's where I am. So I don't know if I answered your question, Chad, but I've got a couple of things nowhere near ready to be sent out or anything, but I'm getting the poems out there.
And you're just getting started.
Yeah. So, but the one with the Supreme Court poems, I would love to get out there, and because what's coming down the Mass Turnpike, is like a national abortion ban. That's happening. That's going to happen, among other horrific things. So, anyway, yeah. Horror archives, love it. Beautiful.
Thank you, Jennifer, for an amazing reading.
Thanks, Jim. Thank
you. I want to encourage everyone who came tonight to come to future Stone Soup readings. We're going to have an all open mic next week, and I'll be hopefully announcing by Friday the feature that'll be closing out January, and hopefully future features being announced for February, March, April, and beyond, going, of course, into Stone Soup's 54. It's got 2, 3, 4. Wow. 53rd anniversary, I believe. Good Lord, I can't. It's bad when you can't even catch. No, 54th anniversary. It's crazy when you can't even keep count anymore.
That's amazing.
Hopefully more people will be reunited. Stone Soup will be reuniting with old friends in the future. Hopefully, Stone Soup will have at least one live show this year. That would be nice. We've gotten some invitations, and I'll be making some announcements, but I don't want to give up the online component because obviously it's the best way to get people together from all locations, so from everywhere. And I do like the online family we've created, but hopefully we can all meet up in person at some point. More announcements to come. Thanks to everyone for sharing the links. I advise you save the chat. There's a lot of good stuff in here. And stay tuned for the video, which will be on YouTube tomorrow at 9 o'clock. And of course, you can get the unedited version via Facebook Film Reels, whatever they're calling it right now, until TikTok gets canceled. If I do a final marathon live stream, the first one I'm able to do, the last one because I finally got 1,000 followers, I'll let you all know. You can join me via your secret TikTok accounts. Don't be ashamed. And I'll look forward to seeing you guys next week. And whenever you guys want to come down, we'll do the obligatory wave and leave you all with thoughts of Jennifer's poems. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chad. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for coming. Thanks especially to Jennifer, and good luck. And I'm going to grab the book. And the rest of you, take care of yourselves. Take care of somebody else. If you can, have yourself a great night. It can be like this every week. All we need is you. Show's over. See you next.
Thanks, Chad. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night, all.